Good morning, gorgeous, and welcome back to Rose-Colored Glasses with RK. I am RK, Rachael Karlyl, the host of this podcast. And today I just want to talk a little bit about the myths of corporate. Some of them are a little bit funny, but some of them are just a bit sad, to be perfectly honest. So let's start with the funny ones because, the reality is that some of them are a little bit funny. Like, why the actual fuck can no one figure out the aircon temperature in an office? Like, how is this still a thing that it's so cold in an office and we're wearing cardigans in the middle of summer? It doesn't make sense to me. Also, the second thing why can't corporate figure out is that why can't passwords just be, scanned into our eyeballs or something? I don't really know, but the time we spend on the bullshit corporate IT, on the phone to IT trying to reset a fucking password or get onto the intranet or get onto the VPN or whatever, it's just mental. Now, some other probably not so happy myths, or not even myths, situations that I think maybe that corporate, or even just, I guess, the reality of being an employee are things that you need to start to consider. And as soon as you become more aware of these things, you can, I guess, start to be the change that you want to see in the world. So one of the other big things is maybe you're doing the job that you weren't hired for. And that happens way more than people care to admit. So you might be hired as one thing, and then, the 3-6 months down the line, you realize that, holy shit, I'm not actually doing at all the job that I thought I was going to be doing. And that's either working as a positive thing or a negative thing. And I invite you at this point that if you are working in a job that you didn't think that you're hired for, then is it, you need to kind of recalculate, realign with yourself and try and understand if that's something you actually want to be doing. You're also getting paid regularly, which is amazing, particularly in these times of, cost of living crisis. And at the time of recording, there is still war going on in the world, and oil prices and petrol prices are still mental. So the joy of someone else paying your wages obviously is amazing. And you've got that consistency and clearness around being able to know, I guess, where your money's coming from and what you can spend it on, how you're going to do that, all of those things. So you've got these golden handcuffs of consistency. So, but if you're not doing the job you were hired to do, then what are you doing? And is that something that you're aligned with? And is that something that you're happy to be doing? Or is it something that you need to be setting boundaries with and be like, hey, I actually wasn't hired to do this job. How come I am doing this job? And maybe I could start doing a thing I was actually hired to do. So it's being able to set those boundaries and have that conversation around, that job's not available for me. I know this one is. So maybe it's not a setting boundaries thing. Maybe it's maybe I can make this work. How can you make this work for you? I know that certainly I have had to do this in the past in roles, is that, maybe budget has been moved from one project to another. Maybe there is no longer a need for, and the budget then shifts and the idea shifts. And so then you need to be adaptable and have this ability to shift and change across the spectrum of the work that you do with flexibility. And this doesn't happen just in early career. This happens a lot, I think, even later in your career when you are, you're seasoned. And I think being a seasoned professional gives you that ability to adapt and change a little bit easier. Or if you've never done it in your career, maybe it will be something that you will find it really hard to do. But I would encourage you from the very early stages of your career to A, understand the job that you were hired to do, B, be able to have a discussion around what your actual job is and what the expectations are, and C, if what you're doing is required to change and it's not causing you significant stress, burnout, anxiety, some other physical symptom or mental symptom, then I invite you to be flexible and adaptive, because sometimes that's where opportunity lies as well, where you are being adaptive. Any opportunity I've ever had is something that hasn't come and bit me on the bum. The reality is I have put my hands up and I've put myself in situations where more people more senior than me are quite aware that I would love to do a certain thing, work on a certain project, be aligned with certain people, be aligned with certain parts of a business or organization. And they know that I want to do that thing. And they know that I want to do that thing because I tell them directly, hey, I really want to do this thing. I was doing some coaching the other day and I questioned one of my lawyers who's about almost 10 years into her career, and the natural next step is that she would be moving into the next level within the business. So essentially a leadership position that she has acted in numerous times. However, she has never had a conversation where she has said, I would like to hold the position of, more senior leader, and I would like for that to be a more permanent thing. So that conversation's never actually been had. So unfortunately, people are not mind readers, even though, it should be sometimes blatantly obviously exactly what your next step is going to be. People are very, I guess, they're focused on themselves and they're focused on the business as a whole rather than you as a specific individual. So you need to be the voice for yourself, to advocate for yourself, to say exactly what you need and when you need it. So that is another lesson. What is another corporate myth? I feel like there are lots of them. I think the other big one is no one's coming to save you and you are replaceable. And probably you are replaceable. You're not that important. I think we get into this very early on in career, especially in law land, where we think we're super important and super busy and, oh my God, I know so many things and I've got to be the business development manager. I've got to be the smartest person in the room at all times. And I need to always know the answers, because if I don't know the answers, then people are going to think I don't know how to do my job, and then I'm going to get fired and it's going to be all over and my career's an end. No. The reality is, if you're the smartest person in the room, then you're in the wrong room. And I strongly believe that. I never used to believe that until I started getting into rooms where there were people that were far smarter than me in different things. So I wanted to be in rooms where I was learning about business. I wanted to be in rooms where I was learning about strategic pathways. I wanted to be in rooms where I was learning about how to be a great speaker, a great communicator, how to do sales, how to do marketing, how to do social media, how to do finance things. I realized I was in the right rooms. So I started getting into different rooms, and I realized that what that saying actually meant around, if you're in the right room, if you're the smartest person in the room, then you're in the wrong room. It means you're not growing. It means you're not changing. It means you're not learning. It means you're not adapting, and it means you're not moving forward, in my opinion. And maybe you don't want to move forward, and that's cool. But this is probably not the place for you, this podcast. I am a overachiever at heart, and that is probably going to come through in what I do and what I say on this podcast. So if you're here, welcome. Thanks very much for being here, but you're probably going to hate me if you're not one of those people that is in a growth mindset and wants to essentially move forward, move the dial, change, adapt, do something new and not stay stagnant in the same place forever. That's definitely not me. As I record this podcast, we are currently renovating a house with my husband. I started this podcast last week. I have a full-time job. I also do speaking and coaching. This morning I also went for a walk. So, I managed to keep myself alive, fairly healthy, and have a full-time job and have a side hustle, as well as starting this podcast, which was something that has been a dream for a really long time. Finally got out of my own fucking way and started recording the podcast. So, corporate myths, more corporate myths. So the first one, is, are you doing the job that you were hired to do? If you're not, try and set some boundaries or just lean into it and make it an opportunity, create something out of nothing. The second one is, you're not that important. Get over yourself, because you are replaceable. I felt that. I had burnout. Everyone knows I had burnout. It was on the first. If you didn't know, then go back and listen to the other episodes, because you'll hear that. But yeah, I had burnout, and then I left, and then I tried to actually come back and talk to some of the clients that I had years later when I was starting my own business. And most of the clients I just never got a response from, which is insane when you think about it, because I thought I was everything I was supposed to be doing. My clients were essentially my life at the point where I was burning myself out to work 100 hours a week and make sure everyone was okay and all of things happened. But the reality was I was replaced in a second, and then they just moved on to the next lawyer. So you're not that important. You are replaceable. So I'm sorry about that. The next one is, and kind of tied into the opportunity thing that I was talking about, is that no one's coming to save you. Like, if it's not working, then fucking stop it. I mean, that's the reality. Like, I know that I talked earlier as well about the golden handcuffs of, being in employment, but if getting paid is at the expense of your mental health, the expense of your physical health, the expense of your relationships, your friendships, all of these things, then what's the fucking point? Like, honestly, if it's just a job, it's just a job. And sometimes I needed this reminder. I actually needed this reminder very recently-ish, actually. The reality is that it's a job. It is part of me, and it is not the be all and end all of my life. And so I don't have to fall into a complete pit of depression when something goes wrong. I mean, if you talk to my therapist, she knows that she needed to pull me out of that. And that was something that, I worked through. And that was in the not too distant future. I mean, past, that I needed that. So there you go. So no one's coming to save you. If it's not working, then fucking change it. You have the choice. You have the ability. And if you listen to all the content that I put out there, the reality is that I challenge you to not just change it. I challenge you to design it and then start leaning into what you designed and what you actually want, instead of getting yourself, like I did, into the same position over and over again, where you're kind of looking at your surroundings and your environment and realizing, what the actual, what am I doing here? Why am I here? Why am I doing this? Why am I doing it like this? Why am I feeling burnt out and emotional and all the shit all over again? The reality was I needed to work on my shit. The reality was I was not in businesses that I thought were very aligned to me. And I needed to get honest with myself on that. And being honest with yourself sometimes is really freaking hard. So, golden handcuffs for your mental health. Think about that. No one's coming to save you. So you're going to have to figure that out. Opportunity is not going to come bite you in the ass. Why the fuck can't the air conditioning get fixed? Why can't we fix IT issues? And what was the other one? Anyway, there was probably some more lessons in this podcast, and this one's been a bit of a ranty one, but it's really just like weird corporate myths. I'd love for you to write some other ones down in the comments about just dumb corporate beliefs that we have as professionals, particularly as young professionals, or as like mid-career, midlife, let's go midlife professionals, that you think you're the most important, smartest person in the room. And if you don't go to work and you don't do your job at 100% every day or 100 million% every day, that the world is going to implode. And I can tell you that that's not going to happen. So just a subtle reminder on a Monday to confirm with you that everything's going to be fine. You're not that important and you are replaceable. And if you can't go to work today, then that's okay. Things kind of happen sometimes, and it is what it is. Of course, when you are there, you should be operating at the highest percentage that you can be. And if you're going to be in a role and you do want to create opportunity, then obviously creating opportunity comes from the effort and the adaptability, flexibility, and the general ability of what you have to offer. I think the difficulty is people sometimes don't understand what they do have to offer. So my challenge for you this morning is to figure out what you have to offer, if you are in the right place, or if you need to set up some sort of boundary or stop doing something that is not working for you. Unfortunately, no one is ever going to fix the corporate air conditioning issue. I invite any air condition maintenance people that might be listening to this podcast, which would be kind of weird, but I mean, if you're there out there, then that's cool. Can you tell me why it just doesn't work? I just don't get it. Anyway, that's the podcast for today. Well, this morning. This is actually the second one I've recorded this morning. Apparently I've got a lot to say. So thank you for listening to Rose-Colored Glasses with RK. I am so thankful that you're here. At the moment, I think it's probably just like my really close friends and maybe my mom that's listening, but that's cool. I'm down. All this is being recorded to get my story out there, get the ideas out there that I have, and to start building more of an amazing network than I already have. So thank you for being here. Like, comment, subscribe, do all the things, and I will see you on the next episode of Rose-Colored Glasses with RK. I am RK, Rachael Karlyl, and that is the episode for today. Thank you.